favorite topic in their conversations with alum, giving and philanthropy. Raise your hand if that's your favorite part about the conversation. Exactly. So all that being said, definitely a good thing to be talking about. For those of you who don't know me, you should. I'm the regional engagement manager here in San Diego, so I do a lot of what you guys do on a bigger scale with I've met with hundreds of alumni, and I do that on top of a lot of driving to attendance to different events, going to events. I'm overseeing a giving campaign right now for San Diego alumni and scholarship recipients as well. So that's who I am, and we're going to start with a scenario. I need 2 volunteers, please. 1, you got 1. I need a second. 2, awesome. Should I have them come up here?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, you 2 both come up here.
This is Yusuf and BK.
Yusuf and BK, awesome. Yusuf, sorry. You are going to be our alum. BK gets to be our ADI, our student ambassador. So Yusuf, sit right there. Okay. BK, come sit here. So the scenario is Yusuf is our alum. His name is recent grad. And you might want to study this. This is who you are.
All right.
He recently started working at a small nonprofit writing grant proposals, but he worked at a restaurant before that. So he worked at a restaurant to pay through college, had a tough time when he graduated getting a job, so he just recently started working for a nonprofit. Writing grant proposals, everybody knows what that means. If you don't, it just means that you're writing firms that would possibly support your nonprofit. He was a transfer and a commuter student, so he didn't have much of an experience with UCSD. He didn't get super involved on campus or anything because he came here as a junior and and he was commuting, so he didn't get super involved in student life. So he said he had a mediocre experience at UCSD and has no giving history, and he wasn't involved on campus. So the scenario is, how are you going to get this guy to give back? The conversation's gone okay. He again said he had a mediocre experience. This is what you know about him. And you haven't talked really at all about philanthropy, so how would you start that conversation? And so you need to think about being that guy, and someone's asking you about philanthropy. I wouldn't be easy if that were me. Okay. Okay, so let's take about 5 minutes and just see what you guys come up with.
Hi.
Hi.
No, you guys have had the conversation.
Okay.
You guys have had the conversation.
Okay.
You guys kind of know each other a little bit. Now your conversation is steering towards philanthropy. BK, go ahead.
Okay, so what are some causes that you're passionate about?
Some causes I'm passionate about. Let's see. Well, my nonprofit deals a lot with education, getting low-income kids into the school of their dreams and really helping them get to where they want to go. So definitely, education accessibility. I like that.
And a lot of students at UCSD do struggle with affording.
I know, I was one of them. Yeah. Yeah.
So we have a lot of programs at UCSD that go to sponsor scholarships for students just like yourself. How interested are you in supporting students like that?
Honestly, I'm not too interested right now just because, I was not really involved with school. I mean, I don't really have a connection of giving back.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like I do a lot of philanthropy already on my own. So, I don't know, I don't see a reason to really give back to UCSD, seeing as though I already give back in, every day with my job.
True, and we do appreciate that. But so at UCSD, like you said, we have struggling students, and I know you had an okay experience at UCSD, but what if you could do something to make that better for someone else? So that way they didn't have to have that same blah experience.
Yeah, I mean, I guess so. I just don't. I mean, what are you guys gonna do with my money? You know, I mean, like if I'm giving you the money, am I gonna be guaranteed that this person's gonna have a great experience? You know, I mean, there's, you know, how are they gonna have a better experience than I would?
Well, there are different areas that you could designate it to. For example, you could give it to student life, or you could give it to athletics, or just specifically to student scholarships. And I know you're a transfer student, and I know that maybe that was a little bit difficult for you being able to adjust. And there are some scholarship funds out there that do go directly to transfer students.
Okay, yeah. I mean, you know, I definitely struggled as a transfer and a commuter student, you know, so it wasn't easy, and I can understand why they would need help. How much would I give if I was interested? You know, what would I do to give?
Well, honestly, I know a lot of times alumni don't give because they think, oh, like I can't really make a difference. I can't afford to give 100, 500,000, whatnot. But really, you can make a difference with even $10.
Really?
Yeah. And
okay.
so, I mean, obviously you're not going to give a $10 scholarship, but that can go into a larger pool, and together that'll make for a larger gift. So
$10 would make a difference, though. I mean, I wouldn't just be, you know.
No, yeah, it would definitely make a difference. So, for example, there's something called the What You Do Matters campaign, and the whole idea is that it's not how much you give; it's the fact that you do give. And so, alumni can make a difference of $10 because the more alumni that give, it is a positive reflection on how much they value their UCSD degree, and that helps our rankings go up. I mean, I know that doesn't go to student scholarships, but that's just an example of how $10 can make a difference.
Awesome. Well, I mean, I'd like to learn more about that campaign and, you know, hopefully get the money to a student who would need it. So, thanks, BK.
Awesome. That was good. Thank you. So we were trying to I was trying to kind of think of the most difficult scenario imaginable. A student that was not very connected to UCSD, not really involved. Kind of the idea, I know I meet up with alumni, I'm sure you guys do, that paid their way through college or were in loans, and they say, I'm still paying off student loans, or something along those lines. So I tried to make that. I'd love to hear kind of your guys' thoughts. What did you guys notice? Well, we can start with you two. What did you notice in the conversation? BK, why don't you?
So it was kind of difficult to tackle where they felt would be a good place to donate because you don't really have a great time UCSD, and I know it's kind of hard to say, oh, but you can help someone else. They're like, oh, well, that would help me. So that was pretty difficult. I think you did a good job of making that difficult.
What else? Body language, or if you just felt uncomfortable sitting in your chair watching that.
I felt uncomfortable saying no to her. That just me.
No, that's a good point. It feels a little weird saying no, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It felt weird asking when you know they felt.
They initially said no, right? Yeah. What else? What about some spectators?
I got the sense just from his voice and body language that I think you did a nice job easing into the approach, the second approach, after he initially kind of shut you down. Because it was uncomfortable, and it also seemed a little aggressively against giving. And so I think you did a nice job kind of easing back in through the back door, kind of framing it differently before reproposing it. That makes sense. And not giving up, too, because a lot of people, I think, myself included in certain conversations, would have just backed off at that point to not take them on.
So,
I think the way you jumped into the conversation was really good, just saying, hey, what causes are you passionate about?
Yeah.
Especially for someone working in a nonprofit, that's familiar language to them, so I think it makes I think it's a good entry kind of point for that conversation.
awesome.
I like how she had a specific thing, you know, that, or like an example of even a small donation making a big impact.
Yeah, the What You Do Matters campaign. That was good. Awesome. Yeah, and I also agree that with Brandon, I liked how you initially started it as opposed to like, hey, I'd love to talk to you about giving back. Just kind of talk about the causes that you support. What was next on there? So what are some challenges that you guys see you guys notice in talking about giving? Like we talked about that specific scenario, but what are some other just kind of broader challenges that you guys find with giving? Yeah.
I find that when I talk to older alumni that have like maybe graduated more in like the 80s, like they have like a stable like career and they have the spare income like to give to UCSD if they want to, which I feel like, you know, for me that's like one of the most more important people that you are trying to get to give back, because they actually have the capability to give like a moderate sized gift. But I've noticed a trend of them saying to me that like there's just this huge gap of time where like they didn't receive like any communication with the school, and like they were a member of the Alumni Association, but like they didn't really like receive any emails, even if they were like right here in San Diego and stuff like that. So they said that they like gave a gift when they graduated, and then they just like didn't see any point to give after that, and like, this is like the first contact they've had is this interview. So it's kind of like they almost feel like they don't want to give back because they feel like the school just kind of like abandoned them, like before like this program and stuff got started, obviously.
Yeah. I'm going to just write down your guys' suggestions. We're going to come back to them. But I want to hear a few more challenges. Yeah.
I've been thinking that I've had good conversations that weren't awkward about giving back, but my alumni haven't been giving back, unfortunately. And I can't really pinpoint why, but just about half of them that are in their early 30s are just starting to have families. So I tend to encounter, well, you know, I have 2 kids, they're in preschool, probably do it in 5 years when they're out of preschool. Types of things like that. And then the other half of the group that I end up meeting with, I interview social science majors. A lot of them are our age, so they're fresh out of college, and some of them that I personally know as friends will say, yeah, I'll give, and then, you know, I'll follow up and be like, hey, give the $5, and then there's no follow through. So, it's for me, I'm not encountering awkwardness or hostility towards it. I either get, I'd love to, but I can't do it right now, and I put that in my contact reports, or I just get, yeah, I'll do it by, you know, younger people, and then they just don't follow through.
Sure.
So
that's more kind of on the back end of the challenge, is actually getting them to do it as opposed to the conversation.
It's kind of keeping it fresh in their minds, like it's a priority.
Got it.
And then working off what she said, when I interview like younger alumni who just got out of college, their whole approach is like, okay, I already spent this much, like 4 years paying over $27,000 like for an education, and now they want me to get back and like pay more when what you gave me a degree and I can't even find a job right now. So like a lot of them are angry almost.
Yeah.
So that's one of the awkward things to talk about, and then when you try to get out of it, it's like it kind of leaves it like awkward. So
yeah, that's kind of the scenario I was trying to create there. It was like the recent graduate, like had loans, paid through college, had a waiting job after he graduated, just finally got his first like, oh, I could actually do something with this job kind of deal. But yeah, that happens a lot where you meet with a recent grad that's like, oh, sorry, I just gave like $80,000 to this university. You want more?
Yeah.
Sure. Good.
Sometimes people are also giving to other charities, like they say they're giving to like, I know one person is giving to like some corporation that like help women like start businesses, or like other like, you know, charities benefiting third world countries, and they say like these people need the money more than, you know, UCSD does, and more than people that are already students do, and then I don't really know what to say like at that point, like no, like we need it more.
Yeah, the things seem a little more crucial or more important. Sure. Anybody else?
I tend to meet a lot of skepticism, just in general, that the money that they end up giving, people especially that would maybe be able to make a small contribution, why give $10 or $20 to UCSD when it seems like a vacuum?
Sure.
I normally bring up the new giving website in that case, and I'm not sure what the return on that has been, but they're excited to know that they can give directly to a cause, but even then, $10 to a $1 billion enterprise is a hard sell, it seems like.
Sure. Okay. Anyone else?
Are all your engagements one-time engagements, or is there follow-up if they want more information, or you're going to get more information? Does that happen?
Yeah, absolutely. So,
all of the emails, most likely.
yeah, I mean, how many of you have either spoken with or met with an alum after you've sent the thank you and follow-up, whatever information they requested? How many of you have stayed in touch with alumni you've met with? Yeah, so at the very least, regardless, I mean, it's a thank you, and here's some of the information we're interested in, or here's the next upcoming event. So there's always some sort of, response to whatever the conversation was. There should be.
I'd be interested in knowing like how many give after that first meeting, like, yes, thanks for contacting me, I will give a gift, and how many give after follow-up. It's very hard. We all try to get money certain ways on campus. It's very hard the first time.
Yeah.
People have questions, you got to follow up, and so I was just wondering, is there any kind of information like that out there, or like first when they give, kind of
like 75% of gifts that we get come in after the meeting. If you go out of the total meetings that the team has done, 75% have happened after the meeting.
That's
for that year.
75% of the people that we meet up with.
Yeah.
That's just saying.
Right.
75% of our giving total give after the meeting.
After the meeting. Yeah.
Not before.
Give after the meeting, just in general.
At some point.
Yeah, at some point.
Yeah.
In that fiscal year.
Yeah. I'm sure, I was thinking, like, would you know if, like, well, it probably mostly happens. I was just thinking, you hit it off the first time, it's like, yes, I'm giving, like that kind of record, then the person gave after a follow-up discussion.
It's difficult because there isn't any record of how many follow-up emails sent, because it doesn't go through the fundraiser interface, it's just everybody's private email clients.
Just based on your guys' experience, how many give, right, like, wow, you sold me, wow, thanks for engaging me, I'm definitely giving back. So is that a little lower, you think? Usually takes a follow-up.
Close a few gifts in meetings.
But not the majority.
I don't carry my checkbook around.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the takeaway items that they can, bring with them and leave or take back are the gift cards. So the pledge gift cards.
Awesome. Let's move on. Sorry. That's fine. So I want to kind of raise the need a little bit more here, just as kind of a refresher, and maybe some things you guys wouldn't necessarily know. So a couple things of like why giving back. Kind of two main ones that I encounter and encourage people is raising the need and showing the impact. So raising the need in the conversation, things like the cost of education rising, obviously, with budget cuts and stuff like that, there's an increasing need for financial aid. That's kind of the chancellor's charge, is to raise student scholarship funds. That's our charge, that's our goal, to really raise millions of dollars for student scholarships over the next several years. The budget crisis is causing programs to be cut, things like the Craft Center, things like in arts and humanities, they have a graduate performance fund that is needing a lot more funds because these graduates that are like getting their MFA or something like that want to be able to have some real life experience putting on a play, but they don't. If this graduate performance fund gets cut, then they don't get to do that, and then UCSD, which is way known for its theater department, starts to decrease in the rankings, and then less and less bright young talent are coming to UCSD. So things like that, and the fact that California funds less than 8% of UCSD's budget. I think it's way less than 8, and I think it's, to be honest, probably going down. So impact. This is stuff that part of my campaign is understanding the impact that UCSD has on the city of San Diego. So if the need doesn't already get them going, you can start to talk about the impact. One thing about UCSD and the importance of investing back into UCSD, over $20 billion of San Diego's annual revenue comes from a UCSD-founded company. So that's things like Qualcomm, Cymer, Life Technologies, Illumina, and then small things like Chow Chocolatier, things like that. And those are just the ones we know. And this is fiscal year 12, so things are totally going to change this year. UCSD and its affiliated companies help generate over 18,000 jobs. I don't think a ton of other places in San Diego can say that. And then there's things beyond the numbers, which is just insane to think about beyond the $20 billion that you can actually count or quantify. Things like the fact that like all the apartments that most of you guys probably live in wouldn't be there without UCSD. Things like Costa Verde and all those little apartments down there that are generating revenue for people renting them. Without students, without UCSD being here, students aren't renting those things, and that's just a big plot of land that's here. UTC would not be one of the biggest malls in San Diego without UCSD being right here. I mean, you have Fashion Valley and Mission Valley, but nothing's North County. UTC is perfect because UCSD is right here. All the food that's over in La Jolla Village, the Ralph's, the Trader Joe's, the Starbucks, the chopsticks, all that stuff. Pickup sticks, not chopsticks. Croutons, all those things. That's not going to be around without UCSD. So that's just so much indirect impact that can't be really traced back to UCSD. But the fact that a world-class institution is in La Jolla creates that revenue as well. What are some other factors why, if you were to, if you give back or if you talk to an alumni about giving back, what are some of the factors that you bring up as well? I want to hear from some of you guys. Yeah.
I think it's just more of the impact or the indirect impact of like experience. Like usually if I had if I network with an alumni who's had a great experience, UCSD experience, then when we talk about the giving, then I bring that up that there's like a budget cut and like financial times are getting harder. So to make sure like to maintain that quality of education for everyone, like we would really appreciate it if you could like I guess further our cause sort of thing.
Sure.
And then like they're passionate about that too.
Sure.
So
yeah.
Because I interview social science majors a lot, I just update them on things that are going on within our departments a lot.
Sure.
But not just like little things like, oh, we hired a new professor or something, but like we brought this on the campus.
Right.
You know, last year, things like that. It's easy to like mention that every time someone's always like, oh, that sounds really cool. How did that happen?
Yeah.
So more of like things that cater more to their interests or things that I assume would connect better with them, but that resonate throughout campus.
Things that would get them excited about
Right,
UCSD
right.
a little bit. Sure. Take one more. Or no more. Things like that, definitely. A lot of times I like to talk about the strategic planning process of the chancellor, which if you guys haven't gone to like a town hall for students or something like that, you totally should. I think he's somebody that's, it's really exciting just to hear about his plan and to especially talk to alumni about his plan for student scholarships, his plan to increase the student experience at UCSD and improve it. It just gets alumni, just like you said, more excited about the campus and more encouraged to give back, stuff like that. So these are obvious. I just kind of wrote some of the common things I hear, and I'm sure you guys do as well, of why not to give back to UCSD. It's like, just like you guys are saying, I paid for college, or nobody helped me pay for college, or I just graduated, nothing I can give will make an impact, I don't make that much money, I won't get anything in return, I didn't really enjoy UCSD, I'm paying off my student loans still. We could probably keep going, and I say others, we could just noting that things like it's been their first contact in a really long time, they have a family to support, they paid for UCSD already by getting their degree, there's other causes that are more important, things like that. So going back to the scenario and thinking about all that we just talked about, the goal of this is to change the way that the giving conversation, to kind of make that giving conversation turn into the actual donors. A lot of thinking about the reasons that people don't give back, and thinking about the reasons why to give back. How could you take some of whether it was a scenario or some of the things that you guys brought up, how could you turn those skeptic reasons or reasons why not to give back into reasons to give back? How do you change that? How can you change those conversations? So thinking about the scenario, or things like saying things like, oh, this is the first contact I've had with UCSD and I feel abandoned by them. I have a family, my kid is 5 years old and I need to save for the first college fund. It's not really a priority for me. I already graduated and I paid money to get a degree. other places are more important. I'm a skeptic. Where's my money really going? Things like that.
Well, for the one that said that they don't get any return for giving, they can also become like an alumni associate or an alumni benefactor, and you actually get like benefits from the school, like you can use the library and like get parking passes and like free license plate thing or whatever. So it doesn't seem like much, but then at least like they're getting something that they can like have to like kind of verify. Like I think sometimes that just makes people feel better about giving.
Yeah, you go back to the reasons why not. Just so you guys have it on to see. How would you turn around some of those plus the ones you already talked about?
The ones I mentioned to you that are like right now I can't give.
Yeah.
And so I always like say, that's fine, we're always gonna be here. And we wanna continue that conversation when you're financially ready, but a lot of the ones that are ready and willing to give back but can't right now, they express interest in, what we're doing and, just being an alumni that's re-engaged with campus. So what I tend to say is like, well, you probably haven't activated your perks and privileges. And then like I'll give them the website and say, these are your XYZ discounts you can get. And I give them the giving website too, and I say just check that out and put in like the $5 now, because it'll intrinsically like raise the value of your degree. And a lot of them are still in like the infant stages of becoming professionals in their career. So I'll just say, it doesn't hurt to just give that $5 right now and boost the rankings, get a little more bang out of your degree. And usually I'm able to pinpoint them in the direction for like the future to where they should direct their donation. Like one guy was doing a big research project at the VA, but his real dream or like passion, I guess, was developing like biotechnology. He's been teaching himself like patent law. And I told him like there's extension here, there's an entrepreneurial network you can get involved with. So like I just mix in whatever, like LinkedIn groups, and I'll say like these departments can help you out later, and that's it.
And you again kind of showing the benefit of starting to get involved.
He didn't give, but I said it like
Yeah. So what about those times when somebody says like I can't right now, or I just graduated and don't make very much money? What encourages them to give at like a participation rate level? How could you turn that conversation? You said go ahead.
I think just kind of what BK did in the scenario where she just said, what are you passionate about? Like, I think I try and remove myself, like, kind of from just getting money from them for a little bit, and then just trying to see, like, what exactly, like, I understand all of this. Like, I understand you've got, like, some issues or problems with UCSD, but what exactly did you, like, there had to be something they liked about UCSD. There had to be some kind of cause that they liked. And I just try and go with that and just kind of be like, all right, so one guy did intramural sports and was really into lacrosse. And I was like, oh, that's great. What are, do you still play? Would you be interested in coming back to watch a game or whatever, something like that. And I was like, the athletics, could always use money, all that kind of stuff. So although it's, although maybe he didn't have like a great experience or something, you just have to hone in on something that, everyone, no one's such a Grinch that they would be like, oh, I don't want to give it shit. I didn't like anything. Yeah. So you just have to find the one that they do like and try and expand off of that.
Yeah, and sometimes in your meetings, and what I encounter is you're trying to like recreate, almost trying to create a new experience for them. Like, you meet up with a lot of people from Rady or something, and or Jacob's School or anything like that, and maybe they didn't have the best experience, or not necessarily thinking like why. They kind of ask the why should I really give back, and it's kind of helping them understand, as you guys are kind of talking about the impact that UCSD has on its current students and on again the city of San Diego, but also recreating that. They have an opportunity to recreate that experience for someone else, or they talk about they're at a startup or they're in a nonprofit, and there's like the Moxie Center. There's a way to connect it back to UCSD, and that should always be where the conversation ends up driving back to, instead of just getting to know them, it's driving it back to UCSD and how hearing about their nonprofit that they started or their small business or startup that they're in, how we're encouraging that. We're starting an entrepreneurial challenge. We're starting the Moxie Center, which is going to be a hub for startups and innovation and stuff like that. Will anybody else have a way that they've turned around a conversation or a way that they turn around the conversation thinking about stuff like that in the scenario?
I actually think I remember, oh, sorry. I think I remember Dylan saying something about, like, if it's a recent alum, try and see, like, what UCSC can do for them. And so I'll definitely emphasize that there's social happy hours. I've been to them and they're a lot of fun. You meet a lot of people. So, like, if they said, that they're not getting anything out of it, I said, well, there's plenty of things being offered by UCSC right now that you could take advantage of. So it's just, finding something that they can get, like a high school teacher wants to get in touch with the nano engineering department.
Sure.
So that's something that they would like to do. So I don't know, just making them know that UCSC is still there for them, that they can.
Yeah, and it's like kind of on them. They have to do a little bit too.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Somebody else, you got your.
I just wanted to add in terms of like when you confront some kind of negativity, like, oh, I wish I had more of that when I was an undergrad, and I'm not really seeing, if it's even occurring now. What I do is like, I just tell them specific. Like I try to. Most of the interview is me listening, and a lot of them thankfully have been more talkative. So I just try to listen and pinpoint where their dissatisfaction lies, and then I try to think of all the resources available to a current student now in that similar position and where they could go. So one lady, she was actually an older student when she came to campus, and she was pregnant, married, settled into family life, and she just wasn't clicking with anyone. Like everyone, was younger, obviously, and she just and she was also studying, I think, gender studies, and she just felt like it was kind of ironic that she was studying that, and even in her classes, the student body wasn't responsive towards female-sensitive issues. And so I just started thinking, there is a women's center now, and it wasn't as well developed before, and they put on speaker events, and I even offered, I was like, you could even do your own lecture on it or a seminar to students now. So that type of thing, like, sparks the, oh, that's really great, I totally wish I had that, so.
Kind of the new things, again,
right.
trying to get them excited.
Whatever they were dissatisfied with, how you're trying to like accommodate and fill that void now.
Yeah, how UCSD is trying to change that culture a little bit. Yeah, totally.
Oh, and also like, this doesn't like always resonate with some of the alumni, but whenever like I introduce myself off the bat, I'm like, hi, I got your information through my current position as an ADI ambassador, so I tell them about the program.
Yeah.
And I just try to like reaffirm in them that they know our intention as the Alumni Association is good. We want to actually learn about them.
Yeah.
And try to connect them back to campus. So.
Yeah, a lot of times I start a meeting saying like, hey, we recognize we haven't done the best job at reaching out to our alumni in the past, and that a lot of people do assume all we're doing is asking for money.
Right.
And with that, actually starting the conversation with like, wow, that's really, really important. Like, and then they kind of understand that's still part of the piece. Yeah. So. But yeah, kind of trying to like empathize with them a little bit, especially with the people that like say like, hey, where have you been for 20 years or something like that. Sure. Move forward. So I want to find out how many of you have given back to UCSD. Raise your hand if you've given back to UCSD. Awesome. That's quite a few of you. I'm going to assume that most, a good chunk of the ambassadors do, but for those of you that don't, it's going to be really hard for you to convince someone to give back to UCSD if you're not doing it yourself. And that's a really easy talking point when you do get down to like a participation type gift, someone that's a recent graduate that isn't making a ton of money. If you're a student and can say, hey, I give $20 like once a year, like they make more than you do because you're paying to be here. But that's a really, number one, a really easy way to help them understand like it's really not, it doesn't take much. But number two, for those of you that are supporting, think about the places that you are supporting, whether it's student scholarships or athletics or some campus life area, research, Jacobs School, whatever it is, as they're considering the giving or maybe a little hesitant to it, you can get them excited through your excitement yourself. If you're excited, like I get really passionate about student scholarships, so as I'm meeting up with someone that is a little hesitant about giving or skeptical about it, as I get more excited about the areas that I'm giving back and can talk to them about it, it usually can translate to them getting a little more excited about it. You're only going to spark a passion in them if they seem pretty apathetic, if you're passionate yourself. So if you're in this job not giving back, not excited about UCSD, you're going to, I don't know how, but something's going to have to spark in you, and I think a good step could be if you're not giving back. Because then you have some stake in the game, right? Like you have some investment. Pick a fund yourself. Find a fund that you're excited about. Mere scholarships, the Chancellor's Fund for Excellence, medical research, something like that. So then you have something to be excited about. You have something to pitch to them. Because ultimately you're in a sales job without being in a sales job. But if you're not behind the product you're selling, you're going to have a hell of a hard time trying to sell it. Nobody works at a restaurant and hates the food. You're not going to try to sell someone a giving pitch if you're not giving yourself. So that's just my encouragement to you guys. It's not like a guilt trip, hey, you guys need to get back, but it's going to, number one, make the conversation easier because you have something to talk about yourself. And number two, I think you'll find yourself getting a little more passionate about wherever you are giving back to. I get most passionate about student scholarships, so when I start to talk about it, it comes out in my voice, and then people start really getting kind of excited about giving back to student scholarships. Right? Yeah. You start talking a little faster, they get a little pumped, your voice gets a little higher and louder. No, but you see what I mean? Like, if you're starting to, I could start talking about the track and field scoreboard project, having been on the track team myself, and if they're having nowhere else to give, and I was on the track team and loved it and give back, then I can get them excited about doing it. Because that's where they start to see it in you. If you're sitting around just kind of like, yeah, you should, well, just give like a participation gift or something, that doesn't really encourage them. But if you're actually excited about what you're giving back to or the area that you're most passionate about, that's going to raise the excitement in them. And then them seeing you as a student, especially the older alumni, and they see that you're excited about it, they're going to be a little more excited about it too. I think that's it.
That's it.
Cool. That's it for me. Do you guys have any other questions? Yeah. Comments, concerns, final tips to discuss about giving?
Thank you.
Oh, Gilmer.
So in terms of follow-up,
Yeah.
What would you suggest?
In terms of like the immediate follow-up email?
No,
Oh.
not the follow-up email, like thank you,
Sure.
great talking to you. I mean like following up in terms of them giving you back.
Sure.
How do you re-engage with them through that conversation? Because I only did it over the holidays when we had that actual campaign.
Right. So one thing I do, and you guys could probably, I assume, incorporate this into your hours, is I'm just constantly like checking the alumni website or especially you guys have these meetings to talk about what's coming up. If I see something that I think is most exciting and could get an alum to come back to campus or go to an event or something like that, I'm going to personally email them about it. So, and I meet up with hundreds of alumni. I assume the ones that you guys are meeting up with, it's at a much smaller scale. You could probably remember them a lot easier even than I can. And so when you hear about someone that might be interested, that is like, yeah, I'd love to be able to sit on a panel or something like that, boom, like even if they're not able to, you at least make that initial like, hey, I still thought of you. I still remember you. I didn't forget about you. I'm not just going to ask you for money. And you can kind of cultivate that relationship a little bit more. There are people on campus, development officers, that are solely in charge of cultivation, and you guys get to do it on you guys can start to prepare yourselves for that as well. Does that answer your question a little bit?
Yeah.
You can also very lightly include, like, hey, here's an exciting campaign that's coming up. It's year-end kind of thing, or invite them to the 5K, and you're going to hear a little bit more about that in the next couple weeks, but how fun to be a part of the 5K, or something like that. So you can, if you in your follow-up sort of question, if your goal is to, like, how are you going to get them to actually give after they've said that they would? Yeah, I mean, you don't want to just ping them once a week and say, hey, I haven't seen you get come through. So, but using that not as a sort of like as your cover to really try and get a gift, you're also showing them that you're here for them.
Yeah.
And when they're actually ultimately ready to do it, they'll do it.
You gotta warm them up a little bit.
So you guys are actually empowered to keep in touch
Yeah.
and to leverage any opportunities where you see that connection. So I guess my question kind of was about like, the average amount of interactions before you give kind of thing. Is it 2.5? Is it 3 for everybody? I know that's kind of digging down a little deep, but does everybody know who I am?
There's some no's and
Consultant,
some yes.
hired from the outside, efficiency
No.
consultant.
No.
No, because there's some new people here. I was just hired recently as the industry and career engagement manager. So, what?
Do they know your name?
Oh, Joe Kabari. I'm on the website. Professional.
You can blink me.
Yeah. I was at the Career Center for 5 years working with graduate students mostly PhDs in recent years. A lot of engineers, and I can think of those engineers are making a ton of money, and you can almost probably trick them into giving, because they're, I don't know, I think they're still gullible. But I know guys making hundreds of thousands that you could say, hey, you know what? There's studies that say the more you give, the more you're happy. Please give, or something like that. The more you give, the more you give. But
Sales.
I think what you guys are doing is great. In that scenario, were you prepped on that?
Nope.
No.
That was really good.
Yeah, BK, good job.
That's BK free.
That was really good. One thing I noticed was more questions. It's all about questions. So I don't know if you guys have some like basic questions. The more you talk, the worse it's going to be. The more they talk, the better. Questions are everything. If selling 101, no means I need more information. How many have heard that before? Yeah, no means I need more information. So you guys are on the right track. I just wanted to mention that one event. So one of the things on my desk when I first got hired was I got contacted by myworkster.com, which is a neat little twist on job fairs. It goes to top, really tier 1 research institutions in a region, and puts on alumni-only career fairs. So like was a good place. So obviously New York City. So of all those schools there, they go to the schools that they feel might have the largest amount of alumni in New York City. So you got NYU, you got everything, Harvard's as well. So really nice, Dartmouth, MIT and all that. So I saw that and I looked at all the regions, very skeptical, because job fairs are old school and I'm not a big fan of job fairs, except the ones on universities. You're going to get the high turnover type of jobs and blah. But it's free for us, and they'll go out and get all the companies. So I'm hoping, I committed. So if you go to myworkster.com or just go to our event page, it's April 14th? 12th. April 12th, I think it's a Friday. It's the Recruit San Diego Job Fair. So it's USD. I think state's going to be a part of it. It's us, and actually on our website, on the site it has Rady, us, UCSD overall, and IRPS, USC, San Marcos, and that's it right now. So it's only for those schools' alums. They go out. This is where skepticism comes in. They're going to hopefully fill up about 50 to 80 companies. Right now there's 0. So just keep it top of mind. If somebody's interested, you might tell them. Hopefully you'll start seeing companies fill up about 4 weeks or 3 weeks out. Okay, but you can look at other regions just to get an idea. They look pretty good. The companies aren't the greatest, but there is a focus on finance. Some of those areas out, that our students maybe aren't exposed to as much. And if you have a few years of experience plus your UCSD degree, you get those jobs that I always said 2 to 3 years experience. So just keep that in mind. And basically, I'm here to engage our top employers and our alumni at those employers. That's my job, to bring them back into create opportunities for them professionally and career development-wise, and also engage in the university. So,
where's the website to find the event?
myworkster.com. You can click through.
The alumni
From the alumni.
Yeah, from the alumni events page, but it's myworkster.com
Okay.
is the organizer.
It'll be in the meeting notes as well.
Yeah. And it's free, so those alumni can go. There is like a $10 VIP thing that we can get in earlier and share. There's some extra services, but it's low cost and it's for alumni of those schools.
So.